Welcome to Uncharted. I'm your host, Captain Kelly, and with me today is Emery Wallerich. Some of you may know her as That Yachty Girl. Emery has become such an inspiration for many of us, both inside and outside of the industry. She's funny, she's kind, witty, caring, intelligent, and one of the hardest working souls I know. And with close to 1 million followers on TikTok, Emery has given more than just a glimpse into the inside of the yachting industry. She has shown how it's possible to pack up your entire life and move across the country to chase dreams that you never knew you had. Emery's tough, she's resilient, she pushes boundaries, and today she is going to share her uncharted path and how she got to where she is as one of the most well-known and respected yachties in the entire industry. Hi.
Oh, hi.
You were supposed to say
do
something.
I jump in? Do I jump in now? Oh my gosh.
That was priceless.
Hi, Captain Kelly. Oh my God. Thank you
Emery.
so much for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here. So let's just jump right in. You're from Washington. You packed up all your stuff, moved clear across the country to join this industry. Like, how'd you pick yachting? How did that come about? Tell us how.
Yeah. So I had no idea about this industry. And I was a senior in college. I did my athletics throughout college. I played soccer over there, and I always wanted to do some sort of content creation. So after we had our last season, my senior year, I went into the athletics department to become part of the social media managing for Oregon State. And, I was still new. I was still one of the greenies within the social media content creators for Oregon State. But I just remember sitting in there and, in that artificial lighting, I was sitting in an office, just sitting in front of a computer. And I was like, I hate my life. It's like, I don't want to do this. And shortly after that, it was like the universe just bombarded me with this person in our life. We had a family friend that came on and stayed with us for a little bit. And she was from South Africa. This is how we initially met her. And she started telling my mom, actually, initially. I had no idea about it. She started telling my mom that she was a chief stew on a super yacht over in the Mediterranean. She had her rotation and she was off right now, being with her boyfriend who was from Washington. And she was telling my mom this, and my mom was just sitting there like, do not tell my children this because they are going to pack up. They're going to leave me. I'm never going to see him again. Thank God, like a week later, after this girl was just telling her about her travels, her experiences, everywhere that she gets to see. And my mom immediately called me. This was a week before I was graduating. And she was like, you have to do this. You have to go and at least see what this is about. Do it for a year. Do it for 2 years. 5 years later, here I am. But so after we had that conversation, I sat down with her. I picked her brain about everything. What certifications do you need? Where should I start? What agency should I go to? And I got my courses a week later over in Seattle at the MT something over in Seattle, one of those maritime institutes. And I got my certifications, and then they had a hookup. They had an agent that was over in Seattle, and they got me on my first boat like a week later over into Canada. And we did Canada for the summer, and it just sucked me into it. As soon as I got to see that side of living and that side of experiencing, just right down to the marine life that we got to see, the massive mountains that we got to travel through. And I was a deck stew on a 73-foot yacht. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this crazy mega yacht. It was one of the most amazing, personable experiences that I've ever had. So I was hooked. Yeah.
Wow, that's an awesome story. And I think, so many people, and I just want to point out to the folks that are listening, especially if you're, wanting to get into the industry or you're a greenie in it, is so many people think that you have to have grown up, around boats, driving boats or whatever, and you don't. Like there's so many of us like yourself that knew nothing about the industry. I didn't know anything about the industry, and somebody somehow along the way introduces it to you, and you're right, you get hooked. There's just something
Yeah,
about when you go to sea, there's just something so calming and freeing. And I mean, you can be having the worst
exactly.
day, and as soon as you
Yeah,
come off the dock and you're
yeah,
underway, it's like it's all gone. Like there's
yeah,
just something addicting about being at sea.
yeah. You
So
just you like, stand outside and you just get like a wave of seawater in your face, and you're like, God, I'm so alive.
I know, and I want to point out something too. I didn't realize you started on what now we would call a small boat. Back when I started, like 80 feet was monstrous,
Yeah,
but now we call 70, 80 feet small. But
yeah,
I think there's a lot of benefit. Some crew maybe want to get onto this big, 200-300 footer, but wouldn't you say
yes.
you've learned so much on the smaller boat? Like, tell me about what you,
Kelly.
because I can tell you're. Go ahead, go ahead.
Kelly, I am so glad that you brought this up because there are so many green crew that get into the industry and they think that they have to go onto these mega super yachts to be credible, to be, part of the crowd. And it's so opposite in my experience. I think the smaller boats, you learn so much more. You're not stuck in the laundry. You're not stuck scrubbing teak at 3 a.m. You know what I mean? You get to interact with the guests. You get to go on excursions and learn how to tie up the line, but then also go and make cocktails. You get to learn how to, drive like the tenders, even though you don't have some certifications. Like, I think starting out on the smaller boats also really hooked me into it because it was so much better than some of these other green crew that are getting into it, leaving big boats because they're saying it's horrible. I never get to go outside. I never get to, experience these things that you're experiencing. So I'm so glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, because and I had the same experience. I started on an 80 foot, and I learned about I worked interior for a minute and exterior and engineering and everywhere except the galley. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I left that alone. But I also had a mentor that told me it's important that he, because I knew straight away I wanted to be a captain, and he said, "Look, but if you're going to do that, you need to know a little bit about every department." And looking back now, that experience on that what we would call a smaller boat now, that experience is invaluable. Like and the connections that you make, I think, and the things that you learn, then going
Yeah.
straight away to a big boat, because you go to the big, not that I mean, look, I want to drive a 200, 300 footer someday. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
but
whoa, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa.
yeah, 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 yeah. So
Don't
those
count
of
me
you,
out.
yeah, don't get, yeah, me neither. Um, so so but you do kind of get hemmed in a little bit. And I mean, you could get stuck into laundry every day, and you could get stuck on the interior every day, And so there's pros and cons, I think, really to what size. And you're right, don't discount, don't think that you're not legit or not real if you're not on, some big monstrosity.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
And
So
yeah.
let me ask you, I didn't know that you were always into social media. I didn't know that that was your educational background. So no wonder you're just like so kick-ass at it, because I'm like this girl. I'm like,
Oh my
you
God.
know,
Thank you so
oh
much.
my God.
That's so sweet.
Well, I mean, you are. I mean, and I said it at the beginning here. You're such an inspiration for the industry, for people outside of it and inside of it. And what you're just, you're one of the kindest souls, and you really.
Thank you. So are you. I'm gonna start crying. Is this gonna be on video? Like I'm gonna have like
It
tears
is.
going down my
It
face.
is.
Perfect. Great.
I
The
know. We're
behind the
gonna be.
scenes. Am I right?
I know. I got fresh coat of mascara on, and it's gonna
Yeah,
be
me
just
too.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but no, you really are. You're very open. You're very kind. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and I think that's a very admirable quality. So, what inspired you to start documenting your life on board? I mean, what?
Yeah. It kind of really happened by accident. I was working on the second boat that I've ever worked on. And when I first started and TikTok was kind of booming, um, I started trying to do like the TikTok dances. Shame, shame. I did. I tried my hand in it. Kelly, don't laugh. Don't laugh that hard, okay? It was
Come on.
horrible.
Can you
It was
find
horrible.
one? Can you repost one of those? Please,
Should I
come
send one to
on.
you?
Oh my God, I want to
Maybe
see
I'll send
it.
one to you.
But no, if you send it, I'm like sharing it far and wide. And I mean,
Okay.
everybody starts somewhere, you know?
Yeah, right. So I did a TikTok dance in my uniform, right? I had my little skirt on, I had my little polo on, and I was very obviously in a yacht. And this also at the time was when below deck was kind of starting to become bigger, right? More people that weren't in
Mhm.
the industry were starting to figure out like what this lifestyle was. And I think I did one hashtag that was below deck, and that was my first viral video because no one knew that this is actually what people do outside of the reality TV show. If you're not from Florida or if you're not from the Mediterranean, people are like, oh, this is actually a job. And so it kind of just snowballed from there. I posted that and they were asking, what do you do? Like, what do you do on the boat? Where do you travel? How do you do this? How do you do that? So and it kept going. And there is so much to talk about this industry that you can't fit it in a 1 minute video. So I just posted so much stuff about what I do and where we go and, the hardships that we go through, the great experience that we get to have and the destinations. And I was never going at it like, I want I want to be a content creator. I want to be an influencer. It so happened by accident. And I'm glad it did because it just opened up, this whole new world. People, I'm sure you've gotten it, love to say, well, you just wasted your degree. Well, you just wasted, what life experience are you getting out of this? But this is exactly what I wanted to do. So it all just fell together really, really well. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm so grateful for the support that I get from it, especially, people within the industry, because there's a lot of people that don't agree with it, but we'll get on to that later.
Yeah, I know, I
But
know. I mean, but what you're doing is, I mean, amazing and such an inspiration. And you brought up below deck, and you get asked this question. I get asked this question all the time, by people. Is it really like below deck? And I have my thoughts on that. I'm gonna let you go first because this is your show. This
okay.
is about Emery. So let me hear what you think.
Okay. So I always tell people, and I was definitely a person at the start of my career saying, no, it's nothing like below deck. It's nothing like below deck. And then I started going through some situations, right? You get thrown into some stuff that's like, I'm speechless, So I definitely would say in an aspect, it is like below deck. I mean, a lot of the job that we do, most of the job that we do, we're all doing the same job. But when it comes down to the type of guests and how frequent we have that, the type of drama and how frequent we have that, the, crew hooking up and how frequent you have that, I think that's where it differs. Everything else, I think it's like dead on.
You know what? I'm glad you say that because I do too. Because people ask
It's
me,
all I take.
and nobody wanted to admit it in the industry. They're like, "Oh, our
Yeah.
industry isn't like below deck," and I'm sitting over here going, "What?
What
Excuse
are
me."
you watching?
I'm like, I mean, I'm in a pretty tight shit, but there's days I walk off my own boat going, oh my God, I feel like we just
Oh
filmed a
my
real live
God.
episode of Below Deck. I'm like, just turn the cameras on us. We'll have our own
Yeah.
reality show. I mean,
Yeah.
because oh my God, I mean, there's days like, and,
There's days.
but I love this industry. And
Love
obviously
it.
you do too. Love it. It's been
Yeah.
life-changing. It's amazing. Now, there's some shit to it. And
Yeah.
one of the things that that I've been trying to champion is really people opening up, speaking up, open your mouth,
Yeah.
defend
Start
yourself,
talking.
start talking because
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, a deckhand giving you a little slap on the ass, that's not acceptable. Someone
Yeah.
bullying you because you're a size 12 or you're not 6'2" on the exterior, like
Yes.
open your freaking mouth. And so
Yeah.
you're pretty brazen. So share how you've dealt with those situations because I've seen you shed some tears on your own channels about some mean shit. So when it comes to sexual harassment or bullying or excessive drug and alcohol, how have you handled it? Because there's other people listening that are your age, and it at 42, it's still hard to speak up, but
Yeah.
you're a little bit more brazen as you get older. So at your age, how can you encourage these people that maybe are going through some of this shitty stuff to speak up? Like, what have you done?
So, in the past, when I was new, I really went through this, and I think, Green Crew really go through this more because there are some really, am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah. Oh, I think I already said that.
Okay. Oh, okay, good. Then we're fine. There are some really shitty programs out there that seek out Green Crew because they don't know any better.
Right.
And I have been on a couple of boats now where I kick myself, you know, for not speaking up to either the management company that hired me for it. What I did when I was in those situations is I left. I told them exactly why I left. I told them that, this was not safe. This is not the program that I want to work on. This is not the environment that I want to be in. But that's where it ended. I never told the owners. I never told the management company. And I feel like it's so hard, for Green Crew to speak up and say that because they're thinking, well, what if this, gets back to with my career? What if this, blacklists me from like working on boats, or I don't want to cause trouble? Fuck that. Oh
Yeah.
my God, if I could go back and just blow the horn on everything, because you're right, we have to talk about it more for it to change. And this industry, I feel like, you would agree with me on this, is still so behind on a lot of the social,
We are way behind.
like way behind. Like
We're
you
still
said, like
the
there's,
wild, wild west. I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
yeah.
we are island cowboys out here still, just running around. So for us to actually have these platforms now, you especially, like you are kicking ass with your content, with, how you come out and teach people. And especially from like not even a captain's perspective, a female captain's perspective, the more that we talk about it, it's like, it's going to change, and it's going to show people that you do not have to sit in the sidelines or in the shadows and be like, no, I don't want to come out with that.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. And so the one thing is speak up, open your mouth, because if you don't, and this does sound harsh, but if you don't, you're perpetuating the problem. You're part of the problem. And I don't care if you're 19, fresh out of high school, like you owe it to yourself. If anybody else, you owe it to yourself to speak up. And I'm kudos to you for leaving, but I'm kudos to you too for realizing that maybe you should have taken it one step further.
100%.
Maybe you should have gone to management. Maybe you should have gone to owner. I'm a firm believer of, if I did something to upset my crew, please give me the chance to correct it. So do give your captain that chance to correct his or her behavior. But if it falls on deaf ears and you've tried a couple of times, you've got to go one step beyond. You have to, because and what this industry needs is, I said in one of my last talks, is it needs a facelift. And it needs
a facelift. Yeah,
like it does. Like
it does.
A cultural facelift. And that changes through what people speaking up. Because as you speak up, then you encourage another crew member to speak up, and another one, and another one. And it eventually kind of snuffs out the bad eggs, the bad apples in this industry, because they're not going to have a leg to stand on. Yes.
Yeah, they don't feel as comfortable to do it. They're going to, actually realize that, I'm actually going to be held accountable for doing this really shitty, behavior towards my Green Crew, because they're going to talk about it. And again, with the social media booming in this industry, it's like you're gonna be blacklisted. Like, you are going to be talked about everywhere.
and let me tell you, I just want to say this as a captain. We're not gods and goddesses of the sea. Okay, I'm not, and I'm not for any crew members. We're not for any crew members listening. I'm not saying disrespect your captain. I'm not saying don't respect the fact that the years and years of experience that we have and the knowledge in between our ears. Don't disrespect that. But
not at all.
Also, don't be afraid to talk to us. Don't be afraid to say, in a respectful manner, hey, this is bothering me, or that kind of offended me, or this or that, or just say, hey, we need to talk. I mean, but I get it. I was young in this industry once, and I'm like looking at these captains up at these big at the time, 160 foot was a monstrosity, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
these guys are 50, 60 years old running these boats. And I'm like, oh, I can't go talk to him. I get it. It's scary as hell. But
Yeah.
really, they're not. Speak up. Talk to them. I mean,
Right.
truly, to be honest, I mean, the men in this industry have just been my biggest fans, my biggest supporters. But yeah, there are
Yeah.
some sticks in the mud here, and you owe it to yourself and the rest of the industry to start speaking up about these things, because it's not going to change if everybody just keeps sweeping it under the rug.
Right. And I love that you say, you can have your opinion, but, give it respectfully. And if, like you said, it goes to deaf ears, that is
Yeah.
when you really need to start kicking in, to full drive. Like, there is a
Yeah.
hierarchy on these boats. We all need to understand that. But if there is something that you're confused about, or something's not clicking for you, or something rubbed you like the wrong way about what they said, speak up in a, at first they're very respectful manner, but speak up. You need to
Yes,
ask
speak up.
questions. You need to ask questions about what's going on, because that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to say, okay, maybe that's part of the industry. Maybe this is how we do towing procedures. Maybe that's how we speak to each other. It gets heated. I will
Yeah, it
say, and
does.
one of the biggest things that I think I've had to back down on is not holding on to, especially captain mate. There's very stressful situations, and I'm a deck stew, right? So I'm not just on the interior, I'm also on the exterior helping with towing procedures, anchoring. And sometimes like you guys are just speaking to each other like harsh. And after you're done, you're like, all right, great, we're docked up. Who do you guys want to go to dinner? Or, so some things you do have to brush off and filter through. But if something's like not right, speak up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And you know what? That also kind of gets among the just gender differences of communication, cultural
Yeah.
differences of
Oh,
communications.
totally.
I mean, like my boat, there's a couple of Americans, there's a Cuban, a Venezuelan, like, I mean,
Yeah.
cultures from all over the place. So
Yes.
they have to give a little, I have to give a little.
Yeah.
I mean, my engineer, my God, when he speaks engineer to me, sometimes I'm just like, okay, like I have to understand,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because he'll say some things very blunt and very harsh sometimes, and I'm like,
You're like,
but
wow. Yeah.
yeah, or like you're saying, out there on deck, when I'm docking up a boat, it's like bam, bam, bam. I ain't got
Yeah.
time for all the fluff. I need you here, I need
There's
you
no
there, I
fluff.
need this line, I
Yeah.
need that line
Yeah.
now. And there's no time for that. So there's a learning curve, there's a cultural curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it can get intense, but that doesn't mean that it ever has to be mean, inhumane, condescending, rude. You
Right.
know, there's a
Right.
difference between just plain mean and
Yeah.
matter of the fact. You
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
and so yeah, so it's but you're right. You absolutely have to speak up. And I want to encourage more and more people to do that. One of the
Definitely.
one of the things you mentioned, where I heard, you didn't mention, but I heard, is
Yeah.
that you even got fired uh from a job once because of your socials.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
So tell me, and one of the things before we go there, I wanted to mention to crew that if they're worried about getting fired because they speak up and they're never going to get another job again and their name's going to be
Yeah.
tarnished, first of all, if that captain is trying to tarnish your name, the rest of us good captains know who he or she is. So
You
don't worry
guys can
about
like snuff
that.
that out. Like
We
a good
snuff
captain
that out.
snuffs that out in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, we do. So don't worry about not finding another job. If you have
Yeah.
maintained,
Yeah.
a good ethic, I mean, chances are before you ever hit the end of the dock, another boat will have snatched you up. So don't stay in a bad place.
Yeah.
But
Don't. Yeah.
okay, so I just had to say that. So get this. Yeah. So you've been fired before because of your social
Yes,
media.
ma'am.
I can't. Tell me about
Let's
that.
dive right into it. I would love to. Yeah, so this was a boat that when I joined, I never told anyone that I was doing TikTok. I never told anyone that I was doing content creation, because it was really more just, stew tip Tuesdays kind of stuff, showing them how to clean this, how to clean that, what are we doing today, where are we going? So it was never about the boat. I never showed names. And when it started to come out that I actually was on TikTok and I had this following, I went and talked to the captain, and the captain said, hey, as long as you're not, maybe like delay the post so we're not in the exact port and
Mhm.
don't show the name. He was like, I have no issue. He was looking at my content and stuff. So I was like, great. That's awesome. So I kept with it. And then, I did an article with Insider about what I do on yachts and how I'm a stewardess on yachts. And when they asked me, one of the questions was, how much do you make? And that's always a touchy subject. You know what I mean? You're not really supposed to talk
Yeah.
about salary. You're not really supposed to. So I threw out a number, and it was not the number that I was earning on this yacht, right? I gave a number that I had previously made a year ago, 2 years ago on a different boat. So I was like, oh, I can make anywhere from, here to here. And they obviously took the higher number and put that in the article. And the article got back to, it was either management or, the owners.
Yeah.
And we were literally in the middle of an Atlantic crossing, right? We were like 3 days out, Kelly. We were 3 days out.
God.
My birthday was the next day. And the captain, they had just, kind of cleaned house with this program. So we had a new captain on. And this captain brings me down and says, hey, I'm not sure what you did, but here's your termination letter. And I was just sitting there like, wait, whoa, what do you mean? He was saying, you can't be posting that kind of stuff. And someone found out about it. So he just started telling me, he's like, I'm sorry. And what he circled around with was, but hey, later on the line, can you help me with my content for my business? Like later on, I was like, I have tears going down my eyes. I'm like, okay.
Oh, happy birthday. You're fired. And by
You're
the way,
fired.
can you help me
Yeah.
do what I'm firing you for?
But also, by the way, swing back to me in like a year or so. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Oh my God.
So I get dropped off. We were in Gibraltar. Never been to Gibraltar before. I had to get off. We were going to somewhere in the Med. And, I begged him. I was like, just let me help you guys get there. I don't want to be dropped off in Gibraltar. Have you you've been to Gibraltar? I don't want to be there.
My God.
Nope, don't want to be there. So,
How old were you
off.
at this time? How?
I was 24, turning 25.
That's so young to be
I was a
dropped
child.
off.
I was dropped off. I was like, please just let me come into a bigger port. And they were like, no, they want you off now. And I was like, oh, this is a little dramatic, but whatever. Hey, whatever. I'm not going to fight it. It's fine. They want me off. I'll get off. So yeah, I got off. And to be completely honest, that was the best thing for me. I think that's when I got to go and travel Europe for 4 months. After that, I went to Africa for 2 months. Then I joined a boat after that I was able to create so much content and like actually really get a rhythm in and show where we're going. And the boss that I work for now, he watches all of my content. He is so supportive. The captain is supportive. The chiefs do. Everyone is so supportive of what I do. So, one door closes and the other one opens. That's just, you just got to roll with the punches.
It does. And I'm so glad you mentioned that because look, the 20s are a bitch. At least they were for me. And it's like, you've got, all these grown-ups staring at you going, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have babies? When are you going to buy a house? When are you going to
my God.
all this stuff. Like the 20s are so hard. And
ruthless.
They were hard for me. And I think that's why I kind of that's my favorite group. My God, I'm making myself old right now, but
you're not.
I love that age group, but it's important to share and for anybody that's listening to understand that these forks in the road, if you get fired, if you have a breakup, what feels bad at the time is gonna be so life-changing in a positive way because you're gonna learn so much from it. You're gonna gain so much from it.
Oh my God, yes.
And there's always a silver lining. There's always a
Always.
silver lining. Like
Yeah.
every time that I've ever left a boat worried that oh my God, is my next one going to be good or is it going to be worse or oh my God, and every move I've ever made has been better and better and better. Would you say
Yeah.
the same? I mean, might not feel
Yes.
like it at the time.
That's what I was going to say is even if it doesn't feel better at the time, you are learning so much. You're getting fired. You're on a horrible program. You're learning more about yourself. You're learning more about what you tolerate, what you don't tolerate, what program is good for you, what program isn't good for you, what kind of people you want to surround yourself with. And I think it is so important to go through just as a person and as, a yacht crew member on their own. Go get fired, go bounce around. Like it's not going to kill you. We're all still here,
Yeah.
and we have these great experiences that then you're going to find a good program for you. Then you're going to find a place where you actually feel like you can thrive, where you can do the best that you want to do. Like, oh my 20s, I keep telling people I've lived like 50 lifetimes from when I hit 21 to 26. Like
Mhm.
I love the 20s. It's so
Yep.
much fun.
There's a lot to learn and it can be
Yeah,
scary, but embrace
but
it
that's
because
okay. Yeah,
yeah, you have to
it's
embrace it
so
because
okay.
it is. And I often tell my crew sometimes, it's better to learn what you don't want to be like or what you don't want to do. That's almost just as important is what I tell them. I'm like, especially
Yeah,
guys that are wanting to come up and be captains. I'm like, look, guys, it's maybe even more important to learn how you don't want to run a boat versus how you do. Because
yes,
once you know how you do, like knowing that, okay, I don't want to be a part of this program. I don't want to be that kind of leader. I don't want to be that kind of captain. Oh God, I didn't want to be
yes.
the chief stew. Like that's just
Yeah,
as important as learning how you do want to do it. So going through the muck, there is a silver lining on this on the other side, So
always,
so would
always. Yeah.
would you change anything about your path to here? Would you go back and change
That's,
anything?
I was about to say absolutely not, but what I would do is I would probably get a few more certifications, especially how I started. I would change, I would get my power boat, I would definitely go and get certified diving before I got into it. But that's really it. Everything else, every program that I joined, everything else has really molded me and given me my knowledge to go out and help people get into this industry. So no, I really wouldn't. All of the heartaches and all of the turmoil that I've gone through, like it just helps me with, what I want to do for the rest of my career in this industry.
So great segue, by the way. Thank you. Um,
You're welcome.
what what's next for that yachty girl?
Yeah. So, wow. There's, again, I love the 20s because you just have so many directions that you want to go. But as of right now, I have my own course that's out now to help green crew get into the industry, and it kind of goes over everything, from the bad stuff, the good stuff, the exact agencies. So I want to, once I'm done physically working on yachts, I want to focus on that. I want to take that and just run with it. Um, I have my own clothing line out now as well. I want to do more with that. I want to, bring in some more like recycled, go to 4Ocean and bring in plastic that they get and somehow bring that into my clothing line to help crew or to help whatever. And then my next thing that I'm really going towards right now though is once I get off yachts,
When?
physically
Oh,
working on yachts, which
I'm
is
telling you. Tell me when's that going to
I
be?
can't, I can't. Well, I mean,
Oh,
I can't. But it's soonish. It's soonish. I feel like I'm at that point in my life where I'm ready and I need to go. When like okay, this is my best analogy. You're at a red light and
uh-huh.
the red light turns green and you see the guy next to you just shoot off and you're like, oh my God, I want to go too. And I
Uh-huh.
just feel like I have that and I have this vision of I want to go and create content within the yachting industry and show different jobs that are in the yachting industry. What else do people do in this industry besides being a stewardess deckhand. I want to go and show expedition boats that go and do dive charters. I want to go and show couples that do, how to certify yacht crew and like diving. I want to go and showcase that. And obviously right now I can't do that because I love the job that I'm working at right now, but that is all I can think about right now. And I'm so excited to do it. And I have, quite a few people lined up already to go and essentially do documentaries on this people. And I am so excited, Kelly. Like, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to share the content. So yeah, that is what's next for me right now.
Wow. I just got chills. Oh my God. That is wow.
I'm so excited. I love this industry. I love this industry so much. And, I never saw myself doing the physical working on yachts, for longer than well, honestly, I said, I'm going to do it for a couple of years. 5 years later, I still love it. I still absolutely love it. But now I've seen some other things that I want, I'm curious. I'm so curious and I want to go and see that. And I want to go and show that to other curious people that, there's other jobs out there. So
you want to make a difference. That's what I love about you is you want to make a difference. You want to show people what they can do. You want to show people like what's possible for them.
What's possible, yes.
But you're so genuine, you're authentic, you're real about it. So you can be like, this is how it really is. Here's the good, here's the bad, here's the in between. No, that is, oh my gosh, documentaries. Wow. So when you go to the polar regions, please take me along. I'll be your bag carrier.
Can you please? And we're going to literally make so much content. It's going to be so good. I feel like our energy would just vibe so well it already is vibing well on the camera.
I know.
Together.
Oh
Are
my
you
God.
kidding me?
Can you imagine? It would just be, I'd be over the top. Oh my God. Oh, well, Emery, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh my God, Captain Kelly, thank you so much for having me on here. You are such an inspiration in this industry as well. I was caught off guard at the beginning, but I really wanted to say, like, you are incredible with your content. You help so many people, and to see you doing what you're doing and, exploding just all over within the industry is so amazing. And I can't wait to see what else that you get into and what you do and what you accomplish. So thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You as a human, like I said, you're one of the kindest, sweetest, hardest working individuals I know. And no, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. It was so fun. It was so fun.
Yeah. It was. Oh my God.
Listening, get onto Kelly's podcast. Captain Kelly is the best podcast that you could get onto.
Oh my God. You're amazing. Thank you.
Oh, awesome.